USAA knows dynamic duos can save the day, like superheroes and sidekicks or auto and home insurance. With USAA, you can bundle your auto and home and save up to 10%. Learn more and get a quote at usaa.com/bundle. Restrictions apply.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? Well, with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills. Wait, did I say job title yet? Get started today and see how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. We'll even give you a $100 credit on your next campaign. Get started at linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply.
The McDonald's Snack Wrap is back. You brought it back. Ranch Snack Wrap. Spicy Snack Wrap. You broke the internet for a snack. Snack Wrap is back. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
With a major selection of the looks your kiddos love, starting at just $4 in the Walmart app, a new school year means a stylish new them. Who knew? Find skater skirts and Crocs that say, I'm casual but cool. Sparkly sneakers that say, it's my classroom, you're just learning in it. And preppy polos that say, I'm the teacher's pet, even if they're mommy's menace at home. Find their favorite styles starting at just $4 in the app. The Walmart you thought you knew is now new.
Gatorade is the #1 proven electrolyte blend, designed to hydrate better than water. So you can lose more sweat and raise your game. Gatorade, is it in you?
Welcome to the HCI family of podcasts. We're your source for personal, professional, and organizational growth and development. We share our own original research, explore industry trends, and interview executives and thought leaders from across the globe. Join us for practitioner-oriented content around all things leadership, HR, talent management, organizational development, and change management. Maximize your personal and organizational potential with the HCI family of podcasts.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, how to get 30, how to get 20, 20, 20, how to get 20, 20, how to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold! Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
How do you top your love for your cat? With a cascade of decadent, savory gravy over a mouth-watering mousse pâté. Fancy Feast Gems. 2 gourmet pâtés in 1 convenient pack. Simply peel and plate to reveal a pyramid shape that makes eating delightful and pamper her with an experience as extraordinary as she is. Turn the everyday into the extraordinary with Fancy Feast Gems.
This episode is sponsored by Friskies, who would like to tell your cats hi. Now, if that didn't get your cat's attention, there is one thing that always does the trick. Just pour some Friskies crunchy food in the bowl and you'll hear those paws come running. Works every time. With so many Friskies choices, you can always bring your cats running from their secret napping spots. There's always more to explore. See for yourself at friskies.com or visit your local store.
AI is moving fast. So fast, it's hard to keep up. In fact, in ServiceNow's latest AI Maturity Index, scores dipped 20% from last year. But that's okay, because AI isn't a sprint, it's a marathon. You may be behind today, but tomorrow you could be a pace setter. Dive into ServiceNow's AI Maturity Index and see how you can innovate as fast as your ambitions. Visit servicenow.com/AI maturity.
Jif peanut butter. It's that jiffing good, it doesn't really need advertising. So instead, enjoy the calming sounds of the ocean. Jif. It's that jiffing good. Get your Jif at Jif.com.
This episode is brought to you by Hyundai. Get into the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event and get away with a deal so right, it almost feels wrong. Because right now, you can save big on their most popular models, including SUVs like the Hyundai Santa Fe and Santa Fe Hybrid, and the all-electric Ioniq 5 and Ioniq 6. The Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Visit HyundaiUSA.com. Offers end September 2nd, 2025.
This episode is brought to you by GM Genuine Parts and AC Delco. Get the most out of your vehicle with GM Genuine Parts and AC Delco original equipment. The only parts designed, engineered, tested, and backed by General Motors. You can find your perfect fit for most makes and models and choose from 3 tiers of parts, including GM OE or gold and silver aftermarket parts. Visit gmparts.com for more information.
Here at the Almond Joy Factory, where tropical vibes abound, we use soft, fresh-tasting coconut.
The crunchiest almonds and delicious chocolate candy.
Ah, but do you know what our most important ingredient is? Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't.
Almond Joy's got nuts and something even way better than that. Yes, Almond Joy is made with almonds and joy.
Everyone who works at Starbucks, full or part-time, gets stock in our company, simply for being part of our company. That's why we call our employees partners, because when Starbucks succeeds, our people do too. And that success turns into down payments, family vacations, and so much more. At Starbucks, benefits like company stock are just the start. Learn more about how we support partners at starbucks.com/partners.
Are your business expenses playing hide and seek? With Uber for Business, the small spends that slip through the cracks, like rides and meals, go right where you need them. Because it integrates with leading expense platforms, you can say goodbye to surprise costs, missing dollars, or chasing receipts. Everything's track downable. Uber for Business. Make small steps that make a big impact. Learn more at uber.com/small steps.
Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
It's summer. Time to enjoy long days, lazy nights, and zero cooking. Because Uber Eats has deals all summer long. So when hunger strikes, don't sweat it. Delicious deals are just a tap away on Uber Eats. Enjoy all your favorite food delivered straight to you. Get Burger King, Subway, Popeyes, and hundreds more local favorites and savor every last bite. Now that sounds like a good summer. Order now on Uber Eats. Terms apply. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
John Addison, welcome to the conversation today.
Glad to be here, John.
It is a pleasure to be with you. You're joining us from Georgia. I'm south of Salt Lake City in Utah. And today we're going to be talking about your book, Turn Your Fear into Fuel.
With a Venmo debit card, you can Venmo more than just your friends. You can use your balance in so many ways. You can Venmo everything. Need gas? You can Venmo this. How about snacks? You can Venmo that. Your favorite band's merch? You can Venmo this. Or their next show? You can Venmo that. Visit Venmo.me/debit to learn more.
You can Venmo this, or you can Venmo that. You can Venmo this, or you can Venmo that. You can Venmo.
The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. pursuant to license by MasterCard International Incorporated. Card may be used everywhere MasterCard is accepted. Venmo purchase restrictions apply.
Hey, it's Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. Now, I was looking for fun ways to tell you that Mint's offer of unlimited premium wireless for $15 a month is back. So I thought it would be fun if we made $15 bills. But it turns out that's very illegal. So there goes my big idea for the commercial. Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan equivalent to $15 per month required. New customer offer for first 3 months only. Speed slow after 35 gigabytes if network's busy. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
When you hear Lululemon, you probably think of Align yoga pants. Weightlessly soft, like you're wearing next to nothing. That's why you see them in class, at the grocery store, and in the park. But did you know about skirts with built-in liner shorts so you can still jump for the Frisbee? And tanks, And bodysuits? With Align's iconic stretch, you won't want to take it off. And with endless style options, you don't have to. Shop in-store or online at lululemon.com.
Have you ever spotted McDonald's hot, crispy fries right as they're being scooped into the carton? And time just stands still. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
It's been a lot of fun talking with you in the pre-interview and just getting to know you a little bit. And, as I was saying a minute ago, I just love the title of this book. It's such a fun way to frame what I think is a really important topic. We'll get into it here in a minute. But before we do that, I wanted to share John's bio with everybody. In 2015, John Addison retired as co-CEO of Primerica, one of the world's largest financial services companies. Today, he shares his servant leader ethos as a sought-after keynote speaker and leadership consultant. Through his consulting business, Addison Leadership Group, John utilizes over 4 decades of stories from his own life to encourage people to embrace leadership as a service to others rather than simply as a title. He sits on numerous boards of directors, and in 2025, he was honored with a Lifetime Achievement Award from Direct Selling News, the direct selling industry's premier source for news and education. He is the best-selling author of Real Leadership, 9 Simple Practices for Leading and Living with Purpose, Addisonisms, Quotes to Live By, and Turn Your Fear into Fuel. Great reads, all that the audience should check out. Again, today we're going to be focusing on that last one, Turn Your Fear into Fuel. Before we do that, John, anything you would like to highlight by way of your background before we dive on in?
I always tell people, if you ever start believing your intros, it's steps of being in trouble in life. I always go, is that me they're talking about? I would just share, as you were saying, here in Georgia, this is an authentic Southern accent. And I'm still with Primerica on their corporate board. I've been affiliated with the company now 44 years. So had an amazing career there. And through my journey of life, I learned a lot of things about how I grew up a country boy in central Georgia and wound up co-CEO of a very large company, taking it public in 2010 and kind of the height of the financial crisis out of Citigroup. So I've had quite a journey in life, and that's what I'm enjoying sharing today with people.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that, but that's a really interesting time, 2010 in the financial services world, isn't it?
Yeah, we were. So the founder of our company, a gentleman named Art Williams, who really created the culture that is still the centerpiece of Primerica, he sold the business in 1990 to what would become Citigroup. So it was Sandy Weil and his, at that time, very young protege, Jamie Dimon. The company went through some interesting years as a part of Citi. And when the financial collapse happened, of course, Citi was one of the epicenters of the financial collapse. Our business was incredibly profitable, overcapitalized, was not a bank. It was insurance and investments.
Right.
And we really had to get it out of Citi. And a lot of that is in the book, some of the trials and tribulations, as well as in my book, Real Leadership. That was kind of really written right after I retired from Primerica. And, it was going through that journey of walking it. Sometimes you thought you're in hell. I used to, Sir Winston Churchill had a famous quote that said, when you're going through hell, keep going. And that's what we kept doing and wound up with an incredibly, our IPO in 2010 was the most successful IPO of the year. Company went public at a little less than $1 billion market cap and is now over $9 billion market cap. So it was a tough, scary, hard journey, but as it turned out, it was an incredibly worthwhile journey, particularly for the people that make up Primerica.
Yeah, very interesting. Okay, as we dive on in, one of the first things I always like to ask authors is, what is it about this topic? Like, why this book? Why now? Books are often a real labor of love. So yeah, what was it about this topic around fear, and how that you leverage that?
Well, number one, my personal journey, but I've given speeches for quite a few years, particularly to our sales force, and to other sales forces about harnessing your fear and fears that you have inside you and turning those into something that drives you forward instead of holds you back. I heard a speaker years ago when I was a very, very young man that I talk about in the book, a gentleman named Stanley Beyer, who was affiliated company back then. And he used to talk about by the time you're 5 years old, you have all of these fears and doubts programmed into you, and you spend the rest of your life wrestling with a 5-year-old on what you can accomplish. And I always tell people, let me tell you, the book's not for. Some people think they're perfect. They have all the answers. They know everything. They've never been wrong. I mean, if everybody thought like them, the world would be perfect. Book isn't for them, okay? I believe we are pretty much all human basket cases. We have lots of little snakes in our attic. And, quite often, if you're in the middle of a trial, like, I've been several times in my career, you wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning and all of those dark little demons are there to keep you awake the rest of the night. And I always tell people, you will never eliminate your fears. But if you can learn to recognize them, control them, and go win anyway, move forward. Not a lot of people let their fears and doubts just keep them sitting on their sofa watching television all day. You've got to turn them into fuel that go, you know what? I'm not going to let this hold me back. I'm going to go win. When we were going through that crazy process back then, I used to have a saying, if they close a door on you, find a window. You've got to keep moving forward. And so that's so what I tell in the book are a lot of the principles I've used in my life and a lot of the things I've just learned through the years of, moving forward. I just, the quick Southern accent. Okay. I'm a kid from Central Georgia. Now I was always great, did really good in school, got my degree from the University of Georgia. And, but then when I started really moving up in my career, and you're in New York and you're meeting with all these people, everybody went to Harvard or Yale or Princeton or whatever. And, they hear a Southern accent. The first thing they think is, hey, this guy fell off a turnip truck in Central Georgia and will make you feel inadequate, that you're not as smart as them. You're not as prepared as them and all that. And I learned through perseverance, through determination, through summoning up the courage, that not only was I as good as them, I was better than most of them, okay? And I deserved to help my company succeed. And so, it really stems from what I've read a number of times in psychology, which I'm sure, given your background and what you've done, you do, the imposter complex.
Yeah.
A lot of people that get very successful, they will think, did I just get lucky? How did this happen? Okay. When I finished my master's in business administration, for years, I would have a recurring dream that it was the last day of final exams and I hadn't gotten my MBA yet. And I had not studied for the exam and I'm in class and they're passing out the exam and I'm like, oh my God. Well, if you study the imposter complex, that's a fairly recurring dream. It is your dream that I didn't get it done. I didn't do what it took to win. And so we all have these little insecurities in us that you can either feed your doubts and insecurities, or you can feed your dreams and ambitions. Okay. And Yeah, I've learned you got to starve your nightmares and feed your dreams. So anyway, that's the topic of the book. I think for anyone that wrestles with, insecurities, doubts, concerns about whether they're prepared enough or whether they deserve this promotion or whether I could do that job, those are the people I'm trying to talk to. Hardworking, good people who are capable, who could shock themselves with what they're capable of doing if they overcame the doubts that hold them in place.
Yeah. Well, and as you highlight, I mean, we all have doubts. We all have fears. If you don't, you're like some sort of a sociopath narcissist. I mean,
Absolutely correct.
Everyone does. And, as you were sharing that that nightmare dream, my equivalent is, for some reason, I go back even further. So, I went through school. I went through a lot of school. I'm a professor, and
right.
I got multiple master's degrees and a PhD, and I've been a professor for 17 years. But I still, on occasion, will have a dream where I'm back in middle school and I didn't, like, I have one more math class that I have to take, and I didn't go all semester, and I have to go take the final exam. And because I'm not ready to take that final exam, if I don't pass that, none of the rest of my school counts. Like, all of my degrees get wiped away. And I'm like, it makes no sense. But in my dream, it feels very real. And it's exactly like you described. It's totally this imposter thing. And I'm like, I'm a pretty capable, accomplished person. And like, there's no reason for me to like fear that, but it's embedded in all of us. Like, all of us have to deal with that.
And the people, and I will tell you, some of the most successful people I know in life, but which, by the way, let me just say one thing. I define success as doing something worthwhile and being happy. Okay.
Yeah.
It's not just money. Okay.
Right.
Too often in our crazy world today, particularly with social media, where everybody posts how perfect they are and how perfect their life is, it makes everybody else feel like crap. The reality is it's not money. Okay. Some of the most successful people I know are just fundamentally happy people who have great families and great lives. I know bitter billionaires. Okay?
Sure. Yeah.
People that have all the money in the world. They're angry. But that said, people that are high achievers, I found that most of them, if you get to know them, they're pretty darn insecure. They have a lot of them overcome their insecurity by being arrogant, okay, and projecting that. I think that, I believe one of the things I fundamentally believe about human behavior is you've got to manage the contradictions of life. The world has a lot of duality to it, and you've got to be, in my mind, boldly humble. Okay.
Yeah.
You got to be bold. You got to be proud of yourself, but you better have humility. Okay. You have to be aggressively cautious. Okay. You have to manage. The world isn't black, white, and everything. The world is pretty gray. Okay. And success requires, look, I don't care what I accomplished. I don't care what my title said. I don't care how many boards or how many lifetime achievements, any of that. I am still, John Addison, but to my mother and dad, I was Johnny Addison of Route 2, Brown Bridge Road, Covington, Georgia. Okay. That's who I was born, and that's who I'll die being. Okay. And you have to maintain in my opinion, if you want to be a leader and you want to move other people, they have to believe they can connect with you. Because if you don't have trust, connection to your people, and they have belief in you, okay, you might can boss them if you're above them in an org chart, but there's a huge difference between a boss and a leader. I always tell people, who wants a boss? That's double SOB spelled backwards. Okay. Everyone wants a leader. Okay. And so there's a fundamental, in my book, Real Leadership, the earlier book, I talk about, I believe in our world today, leadership is the rarest commodity that we have. It's not oil, it's not natural gas, it's not rare earth metals. It's leadership and caring stewardship leadership. And I believe, in my opinion, if you want to go succeed in the world, if you want to make a difference in the world, work on yourself, your fears, doubts, and anxieties. The first person you got to lead is yourself. And then go be a servant leader. Go be somebody that whatever organization, whatever church, whatever group it is, you make a fundamental difference. And when you're done, people go, thank God he or she was a part of our organization. And the older you get, which, I realize I feel like I'm 30, but, I realize I've now reached an age where I'm the elder statesman. As you look back on things in life, it isn't all the times things went great that you remember at the front of your mind. It's when you faced adversity, when you fought through it anyway, and you got things done, and the lives you affected, the people's lives you touched and affected, that's real net worth. I mean, that you can't buy that. We just had the 15th anniversary of our IPO, which has, we made sure all the people in our company and our sales force had equity in the business coming out of the financial crisis. And, just the people coming up to me, hugging me and having tears in their eyes. And my family is different today because of what you guys did. You can't buy that. And, they don't sell that at the grocery store. And so, I believe the biggest thing you can do in life is go make a positive difference in other people's lives. So that's how I feel.
Very well said. And I love your focus on servant leadership. I too am a big proponent, big advocate for that philosophy, and recognizing, different circumstances call for different styles at different times, depending on context and whatever. But I really am a believer that at the foundational level, you have to build upon humility, and you have to build upon this ethos of service and this desire, of caring, and building your team and your people. And people know the difference. They know when you're in it for yourself. They know when it's all about you and your ego, and they know when it's about when you genuinely care, and when it's about them, when you're trying to build them and lift them up. And it makes all the difference in the world in terms of what people are willing to do for each other, for the team, for the organization. If you want compliance, use carrot and stick tactics as a manager, as a boss, the double SOB, as you said. I love that. But if you want commitment, if you want motivation, if you want people to be engaged and go above and beyond, you want trust. If you want all of that, you have to build it on genuine caring, humility. Those things come from this foundation of servant leadership. And I agree. I think that's super rare in the world today. Many people see it as weakness. Many people laugh at it.
It's the opposite. It is the opposite. Look, you see, whether it's in sports with a coach or a boss in a company, there are people that come in and they come in like the Looney Tunes cartoons, the Tasmanian Devil, and they just break things. We're going to do it this way, and you can get people to do things out of fear. Okay. In the short run.
Sure.
Okay. In the short run. And those kind of leaders can change an organization rapidly. But you can't build a long-term successful business that way, a long-term successful organization. You have to build it. When we were fighting to get out of city, I'll never forget a confrontation / tough meeting. We had a very high loyalty from our distribution channel, which is a huge financial services distribution channel. And city, the people that were left there running it, they had no clue even how. I mean, I laughed one day. I said, "Look, I'll give you a test if any of you can find our headquarters." Okay, I mean, and we were in a tough spot. And I said, look, here's why we're going to prevail. You guys are fighting for a spreadsheet of numbers. I'm fighting for people's lives. Okay. These are my friends. These are my colleagues. We had 300 employees in our headquarters at that time that had been with the company over 30 years. I'd grown up with these people. Okay. And I knew if we didn't succeed, they probably weren't going to have a job. Okay. Yeah. And when you have that connection, commitment, and you're fighting for something bigger than yourself. Again, I realize old guy, but one of the things I can't stand about social media and everything is I think it is making people more and more narcissistic. Look at me, look at what I'm doing, look how great I am, me, 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 okay? I think that's the opposite of what it takes to succeed long term. Okay. You've got to be somebody that they want to follow, that they go, I'm a part of a worthy cause. This is a good person and not perfect. One of the things I'll say to people that are watching it is I think great leaders own their mistakes. I always tell them, I hate politicians because every time something goes good, it's me, 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 look at me, look what I did. And when things go bad, they either blame it on their predecessor or someone else. I think a great leader, all success is shared. I used to, and I worked hard at this, and I would encourage people that when you're a leader and you're talking about the success of what's going on, always use we, not I. We did this, we did that. When a leader should use the word I is when something goes wrong. Leaders own mistakes and they're honest about them, and they tell people, hey, I screwed up. I made a mistake. And if you do that, people will follow you. People will forgive you if they know, hey, I'm doing the best I can, just like you're trying to do the best you can. And I screwed up and we're going to fix it. So I don't know. I mean, one of the reasons I feel so strong about this book and the things is I just think so much of what gets put into people's heads if you spend your whole life staring at one of these is the exact opposite of what you need to do in life if you really want to make an impact, do something great, and be a leader. So
yeah, no, I completely agree with that. There's so much that goes into being a great leader, and it can be hard and it can be complicated, but on the other hand, it's easy and it's not rocket science. Like there's some pretty basic things that you can do. If you do them consistently, you'll rise, cream rising to the top. You'll be in the top 90th percentile of leaders just by genuinely caring, by being open and transparent, by owning your mistakes, like you said, by sharing the wins, by these are basic things.
It's not hard. And the
difficulty is setting your ego aside, because that's counter to human nature, I suppose. Yeah. The difficulty is the consistency of it. But we can do that. Like, we can learn to do that. And the world would be such a better place if we had more leaders like that. Our organizations would be better. People would thrive. I think that's what we all want, what we all need.
Yeah. And it's, I mean, as a leader, as somebody who is an impact leader, number one, you said it well, you've got to put your own ego to the side a heck of a lot of the time. Okay. because you got to realize I've got the title as leader. That doesn't mean I'm emperor. That doesn't mean I'm king. That means I am the leader of the people, and I need to help the organization and help them get to the right place. And people, the one thing about people is they can pick out a phony.
Yeah.
They may be fooled for a bit, but they can pick out a phony. And, another thing I would just say, one of the things whenever I lecture, like at the University of Georgia Business School, I always talk to young people. I believe the greatest ability is likability. Okay. That, somebody said, how did you go from starting down here, move your way up to being the top of this organization? Besides, number one, you got to be competent. You got to know what you're doing. You got to know the business. You can't just be likable and incompetent. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
You gotta do all those other things. But then at the end of the day, if people go, this guy tells me the truth, he's honest, he does the right things. And oh, by the way, pretty darn easy to be around. Okay. Some people I've seen in life that are brilliant. Absolutely but they are just the biggest jerks that nobody wants to be around. And then they spend their whole life frustrated and angry that these people they think are less competent than them are getting ahead of them. Mm-hmm. Well, sometimes you got to look in the mirror and go, could be me. Okay, maybe I need to make some changes in how I do things. And so, like you said, leadership, one of the questions a leader should always ask is, would I follow myself with what I'm doing right now, with how I'm behaving right now, with how I'm operating right now, with the words I'm saying to people? Words are things. They're not just random blasts of air coming out of your diaphragm. Okay. You got to think, when you're the leader, you got to think about what you're communicating to your people. I had a great professor back when I was working on my MBA at Georgia State University, a gentleman named T.P. Hall, Dr. T.P. Hall. And in business policy, he said, when you move up in an organization, it's like a gear mechanism. And when you get to the top, you're the big gear. And the big gear, and he used to have a saying, when you're at the top, you lose the ability to muse aloud. Okay. Because he said, if you turn a little bit this way, by the time you get to the bottom of the gear mechanism, the little gears are spinning this way. And then if you just, I'm going to turn back this way, the gears at the bottom are breaking off teeth and everything. You've got to have the consistency and the discipline to think about what you're communicating and make sure you're communicating it to your people. And like I said, I think when I look a lot of times at what I think is poor leadership, a lot of the times the poor leadership comes out of the fact that the person that's in that role is an insecure, fearful mess, and is creating havoc to prove that they're, something, different than what their fears tell them they are. And I believe you need to, like I talk about in the book, harness those fears and use them as a positive force to drive you forward and to do the right things in life. So it's really that simple.
I love it. Yeah, I love it. Well, this has just been such a great conversation, John. I appreciate all of your insights. As we wrap up for today, I just wanted to give you a chance to share with the audience how they can connect with you, find out more about your work, where they can find your books, and then give us the final word for today.
That's great, because I'm the world's worst self-promoter on books and stuff. I'll do things from time to time and go, oops, I probably should have told them how to get it. So, the book, Turn Your Fear into Fuel, which hold up, you can go out and there's a website they created called fearintofuelbook.com. or which will give you blogs and a lot of ways to connect with me. My website is johnaddisonleadership.com, just, simple website. But then the book is on Amazon. And so if you just go to Amazon, put in John Addison Fear, okay, that's the book that will pop up. But I would also just say is for people that may be the first time they've heard me, this is the first book that I did called Real Leadership, 9 Simple Practices. And it really, and when I use the term real, it's not like, well, this is the only leadership you should ever know. Right. It is being real, being your authentic self and turning that into leadership skills. So, look, I would just say to people, number one, John, it was awesome to get to be on with you today. I looked at a lot of your, out on your YouTube channel, looked at a lot of your past things. I commend you for what you're doing, because your message is, in a world where we're talking about artificial intelligence, technology, all of these things, I still believe in the power of the human and the power of the person, okay? That, I mean, good people with a good cause they're working toward are pretty powerful. And I believe in this day and time where everything's about technology, everything's about media. I mean, people I'll let you go with this, but one of the things I tell young people all the time, you live in Salt Lake, so you probably fly Delta a lot also. Yeah. I'm a 4 million miler of Delta. Okay, I'm Delta 360, Delta Diamond. I've been on planes for a lot of years. And when we were trying to get our company public in 2008-9 was when the real battle went on, and then we got public in 10. A lot of the people that helped us the most were attorneys, investment bankers, people that I had struck up conversations with through my years and collected their information sitting in a Delta Sky Club, okay? And when Rick and I needed to I'd say, hey, one of the companies that was incredibly helpful was an insurance company out of Birmingham, Alabama. I'd flown on a flight, had a conversation flying from the West Coast with the guy that was the CEO. And when I look now sitting in a Sky Club, people under the age of 40, earbuds in, staring at this, okay? And I always say, you could be sitting next to the person that could change your life. You could absolutely. Don't be in this thing all the time. Be where you're at. Talk to people. It's a lost art, okay? Because you could meet somebody that absolutely transforms your life, and you're on your phone doing some game with some of your dumb buddies, okay? So my biggest advice to people is connect with people, human connection. Friends aren't people who do a thumbs up on this, okay? Friends are people that my car could break down in Salt Lake and I could call them in Georgia, and the next thing I'd know, they'd be driving there to find me. So anyway, it was wonderful talking to you. You keep up the good work you're doing because
thank you.
Like I said, I loved your message when I went through. I do a lot of these, but I really, really like the message that you're giving to people.
Thank you. You too. Keep up the good work. I encourage the audience to reach out, get connected, find out more about what John can do for you. Check out the books. And as always, I hope everyone can stay healthy and safe, that you can find meaning and purpose at work each and every day. And I hope you all have a great week.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of the podcast. We hope you stay healthy and safe, and please join us again soon.